Picture this. You're Keith Urban, one of country music's biggest superstars. You're performing the final show of your massive world tour in Nashville. The energy is electric. Thousands of fans are screaming your name. You lean down to connect with a fan in the front row, and she tells you her name. What happens next? Keith literally collapses on stage. The entire arena erupts in laughter. And this moment goes viral within hours. What name could possibly cause this reaction? Stay with me because this story is way more than just a funny concert moment. It's about grace under pressure, humor in the hardest times, and why Keith Urban just became everyone's favorite down-to-earth superstar. It's Friday, October 17th, 2025. Keith Urban is wrapping up his High and Alive World Tour at the Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee. This isn't just any show, it's his hometown finale. Nashville has been Keith's home since 2007, and this crowd, they're not just fans, they're neighbors. They're friends. They're family. But here's what makes this night even more significant. Just 24 hours earlier, Keith had to cancel his show in Greenville, South Carolina. His doctor diagnosed him with laryngitis and put him on complete vocal rest. Fans were devastated. Some had traveled hundreds of miles. Keith posted a heartfelt apology saying, "Hey Greenville, I'm so sorry to have to cancel the show. I know all the logistics it takes to get to a concert these days, and I've never taken any of that, or any of you, for granted." That's the kind of guy Keith Urban is. Even when sick, he's thinking about his fans. So when he bounced back for Nashville, the energy was insane. The crowd was ready to give him the send-off of a lifetime. And one particular fan from Greenville? She made sure she didn't miss it twice. All right, here's where things get wild. Keith is in the middle of his set, working the crowd like the pro he is. He spots a fan in the front row, leans down with his microphone, and does what he always does. Connects. He asks her, "What's your name?" Now she says something off mic that Keith can't quite hear. The arena is loud, guitars are wailing, the crowd is pumped. Keith leans in closer and says, "What? I'm not going to like your name? What?" And then, to clear up the confusion, the fan speaks directly into the mic and says those two words that would soon go viral. It's Nicole. Nicole, as in Nicole Kidman, as in Keith's wife of 19 years, as in the woman who had filed for divorce just 3 weeks earlier on September 30th. Keith's face? Priceless. Without missing a beat, this man, this 57-year-old country music legend, falls straight backward onto the stage. Not a stumble, not a slight lean, a full-on comedic collapse. He lies there on his back for a few seconds while 20,000 people lose their minds. The crowd is screaming. They're laughing. Some are gasping because they know what's going on in Keith's personal life. The arena is shaking with energy. And Keith? He gets back up, dusts himself off, and with the timing of a seasoned comedian says, "Did you say Nicole Richie?" Genius. Pure genius. He acknowledged the elephant in the room, made everyone laugh, and then smoothly moved forward. That's how you handle an awkward moment with class. Now, to really appreciate why this moment hit so hard, we need to talk about what Keith was going through behind the scenes. Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman were Hollywood's power couple. They met back in January 2005 at an event in Los Angeles called G'day LA, which celebrates Australian culture. Keith was a rising country star. Nicole was already an Oscar-winning actress. They got married just a year later, on June 25, 2006, in a romantic ceremony in Sydney, Australia. Over the next 19 years, they built what seemed like an unshakable partnership. They welcomed 2 beautiful daughters, Sunday Rose, now 17, and Faith Margaret, 14. From red carpets to Grammy stages, they were each other's biggest supporters. Nicole would gush about Keith in interviews, calling him her rock. Keith would tear up talking about how Nicole saved his life when he went to rehab just 4 months into their marriage. But then, on September 30th, 2025, news broke that rocked their fans. Nicole filed for divorce in Nashville, citing irreconcilable differences. Reports suggested they'd been living separately for months. Keith was constantly on tour. Nicole was filming multiple projects. Practical Magic 2, the new season of Big Little Lies. Their last public appearance together? A FIFA Club World Cup match in Nashville back in June. So when Keith stepped on that Nashville stage on October 17th, he wasn't just performing. He was processing. He was healing. He was dealing with the end of nearly 2 decades of marriage in front of thousands of people. And then a fan named Nicole appeared. But here's where the story gets even better. After the whole Nicole moment, Keith didn't just laugh it off and move on. Remember how I said this fan traveled from Greenville? Well, Keith finds out she and her sister drove hours from South Carolina, the exact place where his concert got canceled, to make sure they caught the Nashville show. And then, she drops another bombshell. She's pregnant, and she wants to announce it to the arena. Keith, ever the showman and genuinely kind human being, helps her make the announcement. He brings her close to the stage, grabs the mic, and shares her joy with 20,000 people. The Jumbotron lights up, showing her holding a tiny gray onesie that says, "Smallest Keith Urban fan." The crowd erupts again, but this time with pure joy. People are crying happy tears. Keith is grinning ear to ear. What started as an awkward, potentially painful moment transformed into something beautiful. That's the magic of live music. That's the magic of Keith Urban. He took a moment that could have been crushing and turned it into connection, laughter, and celebration. Within hours, the clip was everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, millions of views, thousands of comments. Everyone was talking about it. This is why we love Keith Urban, the way he handled that with humor, respect. I'm crying at how gracefully he turned that around. Some people praised his emotional intelligence. Others admired his humor during such a difficult time. And many pointed out something important. Keith Urban never made that moment about him. He didn't wallow. He didn't make it uncomfortable for the fan. He acknowledged it, laughed with everyone, and kept the focus on the music and the fans. That's professionalism. That's class. And that's why, despite personal struggles, Keith Urban remains one of the most beloved figures in country music. Look, here's what we can all learn from this moment. Life throws unexpected curveballs. Sometimes those curveballs come in the form of a fan's innocent name. Sometimes they're much bigger: divorce, loss, disappointment, heartbreak. But how we respond, that defines us. Keith could have shut down. He could have ignored the fan. He could have let that moment ruin his night. Instead, he fell to the floor in laughter, made 20,000 people smile, helped announce a pregnancy, and turned a potentially viral disaster into a viral triumph. So the next time life throws you a Nicole moment, that unexpected, awkward, painful thing you didn't see coming, remember Keith Urban on that Nashville stage. Take a breath, find the humor, and keep moving forward with grace. Because sometimes the most unexpected moments become the most unforgettable ones. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, drop a like, leave a comment telling me your most awkward moment, and subscribe for more incredible stories like this. See you in the next one.